New update in the Breonna Taylor case. We're having a couple of those involved in the fatal shooting losing their jobs. Hey, the closest we'll probably ever get to justice. The Louisville police officer who fired the shot that killed Breonna Taylor, a black emergency room technician whose death set off a wave of protests on American streets, was told on Tuesday that the department was moving to oust him from the force, as was a second officer who obtained a judge's approval for the poorly planned nighttime raid on her home. The terminations mark an effort by the city's interim police chief, Yvette Gentry, to achieve the reckoning she promised when she came out of retirement to lead the troubled department at the beginning of the new year. So we have these two individuals, one involved in the actual shooting, one who sort of set up the incident, who is actually going to be fired. They had been on sort of administrative suspension for an extended period of time. They've avoided any sort of legal reckoning. The only individual who suffered real legal problems was because they shot into another apartment as well, which seems like the ultimate insult in this case. But JR, two firings, how big of a celebration should we have?
Well, two firings, but then what happens next with them? Which, by the way,
what do you think?
Yeah, well, get hired somewhere else. So, which happens a lot with officers. They get fired from a particular police department, end up somewhere else. It happens all over the country. It happens in liberal bastions. It happens in conservative communities. It always happens that way because, they go, I'm a police officer. What do you want me to do? It's my job. It's my livelihood. It's what I do. So they move on to the next one and continue on as if nothing followed them from their previous job, like murdering someone and also setting up that murder with a falsified search warrant. So if you have all these issues with your previous employment, why should you get hired at the next place? I've said this before. If you're caught stealing from a grocery store that you worked at because you're a clerk and you decide to slip a couple of the Mentos or even steal a bottle of alcohol and walk out, and you get caught and fired for it, I guarantee you the next store is going to maybe look at that if they have any background on you and go, well, you were fired from stealing at your previous retail job? I don't know if I want you working here.
Yeah.
But cops, if you're busted and fired and somehow not convicted for murdering a citizen unlawfully and setting up that murder unlawfully, you move on to the next job. It happens all the time. So until there's some kind of thing that stops them from moving on to the next job to continue their unlawful activities under the guise of being law enforcement officials, this is nothing to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess in theory, if they get new jobs, this is a big enough, a high profile enough case that perhaps we'll know about it. But if they just get hired down the road, I don't know why. Like, arguably, they could end up in a better position or something like that. And considering the police culture, like, God only knows, they're probably going to be considered heroes for having been involved in that case. And it's a really weird thing where there's like two different sorts of jobs. There are jobs that are just jobs, and then there are career fields where there's this weird, generally undeserved brotherhood between the members of it, where like you can't do any wrong, no matter how bad you are, they'll always stick up for you. Like cops are the ultimate version. You've got priests who just get shuffled to a different area after they molest someone. And then honestly, let's keep it real. Whatever this job is, like you can say the stupidest stuff, support the worst policies, get every prediction wrong, and CNN will hire you or whatever later on. Like it doesn't matter. There's no penalty for being 100% boneheaded.
Oh,
all the people who were supporting the war in Iraq are doing just fine in terms of their media careers. But at least they didn't kill anyone, not directly. They did advocate for it, though. So I guess this is the justice that we have. Maybe there will be other firings. I suppose if they were going to do it, they'd probably do them simultaneously, considering the wave of news coverage that any of these firings are going to have. But as of right now, you have a couple of firings. You had one person who sort of for a semi-related charge got a little bit of a slap on the wrist, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and by the way, so anyone who may be feeling empathetic towards them, oh man, they lost their jobs, or even if they went to from my route where they could never work in law enforcement again in any capacity, not even as a security guard, then you feel sorry for them. Again, I'm not sure which percentage of the people this may be, but I figure it must be this. This is maybe the way they play it up. You're a law enforcement official, now you don't get to work. What am I going to do with my life? Hey, the person you killed's life is over. Yeah. What is she going to do with her life? What is her family going to do with their lives? What's going to happen now? Because we start thinking about the people who killed her and their potential for continue on and living a comfortable life. What about the victims and the victims' families and friends? What about them? Do they get to be comfortable? No, we just don't really care because that's over. This is a PR move now. We got to clear this up so that we can move on. Who cares if anyone else moves on?
Exactly. Yeah. It's insane.